Hi, and welcome to the Culture Cynic Coffee Music Show. Today on the Coffee Music Show, we're going to be talking about our favorite albums of 2016. A surprisingly good year for music, I'd say.
I agree with that.
So, without further ado, we're going to get into it. But before we mention our top 10, we're going to give a few honorable mentions. Jeff Rosenstock's Worry, a great opus about modern day society with a really cool Abbey Road medley at the end.
King's Kaleidoscope's Beyond Control, which was a really introspective and personal look at Christianity.
De La Soul's The Anonymous Nobody, a really good throwback rap album.
Young Thug's Jeffrey, which is kind of the same run-of-the-mill Young Thug that we've all heard before, but it sounds more mature, more experienced, and definitely more experimental in the beat selections.
Street Sex with the Digital Hardcore album and Position.
American Football's American Football. It's very solid, but very much that quiet, kind of emotive rock that we're used to seeing from them.
Explosions in the Sky's The Wilderness, an electronic album that is beautifully touched up upon and a very subtle listen.
The Descendants' Hypercavium Spazzinate, I hope I pronounced that right. It's their comeback album after, I think, 17 years of not being a band. They came back with quite a few hits that I think are going to be settling really well with the fans.
Tycho's Epoch, a EDM, IDM album with some touches of post-rock and dance music.
Criminal Instinct's Zone 6 Music, which is some angry Atlanta hardcore local band that I really love.
Kendrick Lamar's Untitled Unmastered has a lot of good ones on it.
Bad Bad Not Good's 4, a jazz album that experiments with hip-hop a little bit.
Fall of Troy's OK, one of the most raw and rambunctious albums they've come out with in a while. Crap, let's get to the top 10! On my number 10, we start with Dillinger Escape Plan's Dissociation, a final love letter from the Dillinger Escape Plan that draws from a lot of their influences. There's a lot of Mr. Bungle, Faith No More, Aphex Twin. The opening track, Limerick Death, sludgiest thing I've heard from them. They go into some interesting experiments on this one. You get your usual... I swear to God, that riff is in almost every single one of their songs. It goes in places you wouldn't expect. There's songs here that they'll break into strings, they'll break into actual just traditional jazz. Or sometimes it'll just hit you with just this really hard train of hardcore. It's both soft and loud, it's both angry and sad. It leaves you just wanting more, which I think is what a good final album should do.
My top 10 is Microwave's Much Love. Microwave is a local to us, which means Atlanta, emo band. Very passionate vocals, very, the range of the vocals can get too surprising to me sometimes, actually. The sound's very interpersonal, it's very emotional, and the song Roaches is a really great starting track. It really kicks the album off nice. The song Vomit's one of my personal favorite, because they get a little bit more aggressive. There's towards the later half of the song, there's some screams being put in there. The band sounds really tight, and it's the tightest we've ever heard them. They recently signed to Side One Dummy, and I give them my full support. Atlanta puts out great music all the time, and they're no exception.
Going into number 9, I have Intuit Over Its Standards. It's not nearly as acoustic featured as some of their previous material is. Instead, they focus on really tight drum beats, really solid piano ballads. They have these songs that remind me sometimes of Death Cab for Cutie. No EQ and Vis Major are two of my absolute favorite songs of the year. Vis Major being a straightforward kind of pop-punky power pop ballad. No EQ just being a really good song if you've ever been 20-something and stuck in a rut. And a lot of the lyrical themes are about going through transitioning from your 20s to your 30s. It's a good transition album just in general, and it's got a lot of things that resonate with me.
And I hope I pronounce this right because I'm English or American, I guess. It's Olafur Arnalds, or whatever, Island Songs, and he's a composer who's really had my eye for a long time. He soundtracks a lot of movies and TV shows, but he's very talented, and his music can stand alone, and it's very beautiful. Some of it's very electronic, and some of it's very almost hip-hop based. On Island Songs, there's just a lot of very beautiful, slow tempo, heartbreakingly beautiful songs. The majority of it's instrumental. There's some very great guest features on there. I don't know, it's just like, and I can't pronounce half the songs that are on there, which is like kind of embarrassing to me because I love all of them so much, but I don't want to butcher them. But they're still like very, very solid, very emotional songs.
At number 8, we have Chance the Rapper's Coloring Book, a really good gospel and jazz influenced hip hop album. It's got similar touches to Life of Pablo, but I think he executes them a lot better than Kanye West did. Personal opinion?
He does everything better than Kanye at this point.
There are some moments here. I've heard Andy Greenwald from The Ringer talk about this the best. He said that the album emotes this emotion of childhood, like your late teens going out. It sounds like he's, reflecting on either like an acid trip or smoking some marijuana and being really relaxed. It's something that any young person can relate to, whether or not they've done drugs is completely irrelevant. It also has some really good commentary on the music industry of the song Mixtape. It talks about how mixtape rappers don't get considered for Grammys. Ironic enough, because he's not being considered for a Grammy this year. Really good guest features on it. Rookie of the Year, Lil Yachty, has a really good verse on that. It goes through a lot of emotions, but mostly warm, nostalgic feeling.
I mess with Lil Boat hardcore. At number 8, I have Nails, You Will Never Be One of Us. Nails is like a band that's just like the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like sometimes it's so heavy that like it's hard to listen to. Like it's legitimately difficult. And some of their earlier stuff, there were some songs that were just like unpalatable because they were just too rambunctious, so like crazy, and like they definitely tone it down a little bit. They have a little bit of catchy chord progressions and just like little bridges that are just like crazy and energetic and so chaotic, and I love it. And the 8-minute closer on this album is definitely worth it. It's funny because number 7 on my list is also Coloring Book. It's a really solid album, a lot of gospel tones, a lot of great hip hop, a lot of jazz on there. Blessings, the first song Blessings and the second song Blessings are both named the same thing, have just such awesome like gospel choruses, and it brings out this emotion of, if any of you have been to a black church, it's awesome. Like seriously, like so much, like they put so much energy into their worship, and it's just so great. There's definitely some songs that are some throwaway songs. I really Drinking All Night, or whatever that song is called, or All Night I think it's called.
Yeah.
I can't stand that song, not gonna lie. But I feel like if there was just a little bit bigger sounds for some of his things, like on Problem, like if it was just, there's just certain things that I think could have been mixed a bit better, and this would have been probably number 2 or number 3, maybe even number 1 on my list if this had happened.
At number 7, I have Sturgill Simpson's A Sailor's Guide to Earth. This album is so good. Every song flows perfectly from start to finish. It's got these beautiful moments. Sometimes it reminds me of Jason Isbell, Lucero, Waylon Jennings. There's experimentation here too. Just to call it a country album would be a massive disservice. No, you've got a little bit of indie rock, you've got a little bit of like 70s rock and roll, a little bit of southern rock in here, a little bit of folk music. The concept is strange because it could easily be talking about space as well as Earth, and I think that's one of the craziest things it has, like the water and sky, the similarities between the two, and how this sailor moves through it all. He does this really interesting cover of In Bloom by Nirvana. It works perfectly with the album's theme, and it sounds like he made the song his own.
His voice actually kind of reminds me of Randy Travis a little bit, which could be an insult and could be a compliment.
I hear a little bit of Randy Travis, a little bit of Waylon Jennings. The horn sections in this, absolutely beautiful. Every song sounds like the same thing, like it just flows through perfectly.
We have Touche Amore? No, that's right. Okay.
At stage 4, we had number 6.
Okay, homework. Alright, at number 6, we have Touche Amore's Stage 4. Me and Sam have a buddy named Kevin who recently passed away, and Kevin knew the frontman Jeremy. This album was dedicated to Kevin and a bunch of other people that they've lost, along with Jeremy's mom and a few other people. And this album just like hits a personal chord with me. It talks about a lot about spiritual things, and some of the lyrics are just so depressing and sad and real, and it's very commanding, I would say. It's way better than all of their other albums lyrically, because sometimes my biggest pet peeve with Touche Amore is they would get off on these like really almost obnoxious like lyrical extremisms. I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
If you heard their Parting the Sea, like that album had interestingly weird lyrics. I think he's grown a lot since Is Survived By.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of growth there, and I think they continue this growth on this album especially.
There's definitely very common lyrical common lyrical ground in this, and it stays pretty much the same throughout every song. It talks a lot about death and beliefs and spirituality and just losing somebody. And I think everybody has or will go through that, and it's a very beautiful thing. It's very sad. A lot of awesome topics being brought up.
At number 6, I've got Jimmy Eat World's Integrity Blues. This album hit me as a surprise. Their last 2 albums, they haven't been terrible, but they've gone on these strange detours of like indie pop. The heaviness of some of the previous albums, like Chase This Light, Futures, Bleed American, it was gone completely. And the experimentation does continue on this album, but that heaviness missing from those 2 albums returns on this album especially hard. Songs like Pass the Baby, which... oh gosh. That song hit me so hard. It starts with just these subtle acoustic guitar touches and then goes into the heaviest breakdown I might have heard all year. They also mess with a lot of like modern genres. You With Me touches a lot of, it sounds kind of like a Viva La Vida Coldplay song. Sure and Certain has a Cloud Nothing's influence to it. And then it rounds off at the end with some familiar spots, some unfamiliar spots. It's back to the greatness of albums like Futures and Clarity, but it's also got its own voice. It goes back to the past, but also pushes forward. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out the channel. I'm going to be doing video games, movies, music, a whole bunch of stuff. What do you guys think of that music review right there? Should we do more of those? Should we do more in that style? What'd you like? What didn't you like? What do you want to see more of that we didn't put in there? Leave a comment down below on whatever social media this is on and let me know what we can do better. I'll see you later. Part 2 should be coming in December, so bye-bye.